When people look back on the Bill Clinton years as a generally positive thing in our country, when people feel good about the Bill Clinton presidency, honestly, it's basically because of this. These are the annual jobs totals year by year for the Bill Clinton presidency. See, the Clinton numbers there are in blue. The red years before him and the red years after him, those are the two Republican presidents who he was in between, right? George Bush Sr. was before him, George Bush Jr. was after him. And when you see the job numbers like this, it's really clear why, whatever else you think of Bill Clinton, people tend to have sort of a general, warm, fuzzy feeling about the time that was his presidency. It's because the economy was really good. There were lots of jobs being created, especially compared to the Republican years before him and after him. I mean, in terms of the years before him, Poppy Bush, as you can see there from the jobs numbers, right? He started off okay. Then things really went south in his third year, and eventually he dug out a little bit before Clinton took over. George W. Bush started off in the dumps there, dug out a little bit over the first 2-3 years, and then got a little bit, and then right at the end, just off the cliff, right, before he left office. I mean, you look at Bill Clinton compared to both Presidents Bush, and he was like roses every year. Spectacular job growth every year when Bill Clinton was president. Times were good. Times were great. Incidentally, if Hillary Clinton does run for president, this is why Republicans are going to try to rewrite the history of the Clinton presidency. So now that the only thing that happened is Monica Lewinsky, because they really don't want you to remember what the economy was like and that whole peace and prosperity thing under the other President Clinton. So that's why they have to rewrite the history of the Clinton presidency to make it only about bad things, because the really big good things are what they don't want people to associate with the name Clinton. All right, now put the thing back up there. Yeah, right. Okay. So this is what it looks like. This is Poppy Bush and then Bill Clinton and then George W. Bush. This is what it looks like if you add in our current president, President Obama. Now, President Obama, look at the first line. Yeah, 2009. Started off in the absolute depths of the worst financial catastrophe since the Great Depression. But in pretty short order, turned it around and has been putting out pretty good jobs numbers ever since. And a whole bunch of new data just came out today, which now says that this year, 2014, is set to be the best year for jobs in this country since Bill Clinton, since 1999. As of the new data that we've got right now, as of today, more jobs have been created this year than in any year of the Bush-Cheney presidency, or any year of the Poppy Bush presidency. More jobs have been created this year than 2 of the years under the boom of Bill Clinton. AP today looked at the new numbers that are just out and calls them boom-like numbers. In the Washington Post, quote, "This is what a real recovery looks like." In the New York Times today, "Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah from your friends at the Bureau of Labor Statistics." The Times quotes one Wall Street economist today saying, quote, "In one line, spectacular." And the new numbers that came out today, not just a blip. This is now the 10th straight month, the 10th month in a row that the economy has added at least 200,000 jobs for the month. 10 straight months of job growth that strong. There has not been a run like that in our economy since 1995. We haven't had 10 months where every month had 200,000 jobs since 1995. But we've got it right now. So, big picture? You want to take it even bigger than that, like global big picture? The AP calls the latest economic data that just came out today, quote, "the latest evidence that the United States is outperforming other economies throughout the developed world." And although one of the political process complaints about this White House is that they're not that good at tooting their own horn and taking credit when things go right, President Obama today did engage in a little gleeful horn tooting about this very subject.
The United States continues to outpace most of the world. Over the last 4 years, we've put more people back to work than Europe, Japan, and all other industrialized advanced countries combined. And we're going to keep at it.
President Obama today at the White House, crowing in his very somber way about the really, really good jobs numbers that just came out. The economy making more jobs right now than at any time since the Clinton years. Best jobs numbers in 15 years. And jobs numbers are a really high-profile statistic. Everybody watches those when it comes to the economy, right? The only number that anybody watches more than jobs numbers when it comes to the economy is the price of gas. And at the same time that we are getting these great numbers about job growth, sustained, maybe even boom-level job growth, at the same time, we are also seeing gas prices drop in some places below $2 a gallon. The national average is still over $2 a gallon, but some places have started to drop below the $2 benchmark. And the gas price analysts say that the prices are actually going to continue to drop around the country as oil prices just stay really low. And that is terrible news if your name is Exxon. But it's great news if you're the average American family. Gas prices have dropped enough that if they stay where they are right now, the average American family is going to save $600 over the next year on gas alone. That's like giving a tax-free raise across the board to everybody in the country who drives a car. And on top of that, for the first time, actual non-metaphorical wages are going up as well. This has been one of the big problems in the recovery since the Great Recession. Even as corporate earnings have gone up, Wall Street's gone through the roof, things like executive compensation have gone through the roof, wages for average folks and average families haven't gone up during the recovery. The recovery overall has been getting better, right? But people's everyday paychecks haven't been getting better. Wages are still nowhere near where they ought to be, given the rest of the economy. But amid all of the good economic numbers that came out today, the other piece of good news that we got is that wages have started to turn north as well, finally. Look at the New York Times today, front page headline. More jobs and higher wages. U.S. recovery starts to hit home. The LA Times today, front page. Americans' earnings are rising again. And I referenced the stock market there going through the roof. Stock market gets overstated because it's so easy to check, right? So easy to understand. Stock market is not the end-all, be-all measure of how things are going in the economy, but the stock market is on fire right now. The Dow Jones brushed up against 18,000 today. The Dow's been hitting records over and over and over again over the past few weeks. It looks like it is about to top 18,000 for the first time ever. For perspective, on the day President Obama was sworn into office, the Dow closed at 7,949. The Dow closed today at almost exactly 10,000 points higher than when President Obama took office. 10,010 are the number of points that have been added to the Dow Jones Industrial Average since President Obama's first day in office. You look at numbers like these, right? You look at the basics. You look at the really easy to understand economic indicators. And it's kind of hard to square that information with the results of the last election, right? I mean, yes, the president's party always does poorly in midterms. Right? In 2010, the president said the Democrats got shellacked. In 2014, it's like they got shellack-a-lacked. Like, you double it. Democrats got destroyed in the midterm elections last month. Even in the midst of all this really positive, fundamental, basic, easy to understand, big picture economic data in the country. Election was last month, despite sort of all the good news. Where are we now since the election? Since the election, the good economic data that we had even on election day has gotten even better. This is the best economic portrait of the economy since the boom years of the 1990s. Gas prices since the election have fallen even further, and it looks like they're going to keep going down. Nobody likes to think of health care as an economic issue, but the health care numbers absolutely are. Since the election, we've learned that health care spending last year in 2013 grew slower than at any time in the last 50 years. The uninsured rate between this year and this time last year fell by over 30%. Has huge economic implications for the economy as a whole and for individual American families. And then beyond the economy, there's everything the White House has been able to pull off politically just since the election. President Obama one-on-one negotiating this historic, totally unexpected, huge climate deal with China. They said it couldn't be done. He did it. There was the secret mission President Obama authorized when he sent the Director of National Intelligence to go to North Korea and negotiate the release of the last American who was being held prisoner in North Korea. It was a secret mission. We didn't know it was happening, let alone that it was successful, until James Clapper brought the dude home. Last American being held in North Korea. All year long before the elections, the Republicans were trying to make Benghazi the terrible, defining scandal of the Obama administration. Well, right after the election, the Friday before Thanksgiving, the Republicans very quietly released their own House Intelligence Committee report on Benghazi, which said, actually, everything we thought was a scandal isn't really a scandal. Never mind. Up to the election and right after the election, Republicans were pounding their chests, threatening it would be the end of the world. It would be a fiery explosion of untold nuclear explosive magnitude if President Obama even thought about taking action on immigration. Our friends at Fox News had whipped themselves into a frenzy that President Obama inevitably would have to be impeached if he did anything on immigration. Senators like Tom Coburn exclaimed with some alarm that if the president acted on immigration, there would be anarchy. There could be violence across the country in response. President Obama did it anyway. He made his announcement about changes to immigration policy. He did it 16 days after the election. And it turns out the country kind of liked it. The first CNN poll that came out after the announcement showed that 50% of Americans thought what President Obama did was about right. Another 22% thought he didn't do quite enough. They'd like him to do more. You combine those numbers, that's 72% of the country either digging it or wanting the president to do even more. Republicans were sure, and the Beltway believed them. Republicans were sure that there would be a wholesale, coast-to-coast freakout if President Obama announced changes to immigration policy. They could not believe he would even try such a thing. He'd be destroying his entire presidency. He'd be impeached. That one action would unify the whole country against him. It would certainly unify all Republicans against him. It has not worked out that way. Republicans, turns out, have no idea what they want to do in response or if they want to do anything in response. And actually, to be more precise about this, there are some Republicans who really know for sure that they want to do nothing in response, and there are other Republicans who really know for sure that they definitely have to do something in response, and now they're at war. So President Obama got the policy he wanted, and he reaped the additional political benefit of completely dividing his opponents to the point where they are at war with one another on this subject right now and have no idea how to move forward.